Good Saturday morning, everybody. It's your friendly neighborhood old soldier doing a Saturday video for you. I don't normally get them out, but kind of want to get a bite into the 45 points of the Communist Manifesto that has been implemented here in the U.S. by the communists. It's been going on probably 50, 60 years. The reason I want to dig into it some more, it's going to talk about the second point. Yesterday we talked about the coexistence with other nations that had nuclear weapons. Second part was the U.S.'s willingness to concede the use of atomic weapons against a foreign enemy. That's a true statement. How so? Well, let's jump back in time to about 1950. Old soldier, why are we going back that far? Going to a little thing that politicians and historians like to call a police action. But anytime you go to the two-way rifle range and bullets are flying, it's a war. Just so you know, okay? But they termed the Korean War a police action. Long story short, you had General Douglas MacArthur. I'm not a big fan of Doug MacArthur. Outside of what he did in World War II, by the time the Korean War rolled around, he should have never been put in charge. But that's neither here nor there in that regards. The one thing that he did want to do that the Commander-in-Chief, President Truman, would not allow was the fact that MacArthur felt we need to drop atomic bombs on China. In that regard, he might have been right on a point. And I'm not advocating the use of weapons that, can annihilate an entire city, folks. I'm not. I honestly am not. I'm just pointing out where things have gone and how it fits into this Communist Manifesto. We have never ever used nuclear weapons ever since we dropped the last one in Japan in 1945. Okay, it's a true statement. We've tested and tested and tested. Okay. Back to point one, we allowed other nations to get access to and obtain and have nuclear weapons. Okay, and some of them are not stable nations, contrary to popular opinion, folks. Okay, as much as India is somewhat an ally, India could, in a heartbeat. Okay, that's just how volatile India could become. They have a precarious political system, and contrary to popular opinion, India actually has a very well-trained army. And they have nuclear capability. If I'm not mistaken, Pakistan does too. And Pakistan could in a heartbeat. Alright? And Pakistan's a whole heck of a lot more radical than people think. South Africa. Now, whether you were for or against apartheid, I'm not for, but during the apartheid government, there were more level heads in control of the nuclear arsenal. Their former president just got locked up for basically contempt of court. They've got him under a corruption trial. My point being is that these other nations that, shall we say, politically did not have the maturity to have nuclear weapons got them. That goes back to point one. Point two, though, now is the fact that we, the United States of America, will not use nuclear weapons in war unless they're used on us first, which that kind of defeats the purpose of us initially having them. Okay? But anyway, back to the Korean War. It got to the point that when China finally got involved, Douglas MacArthur had mentioned we need to drop a couple of those atomic bombs, and I think they just developed the H-bomb at the time too. So we need to go into China and just drop a few of these on China. Well, Harry Truman didn't want to start a world war, or at least in mind start a world war. Because why? China was allied with Russia, and Russia was allied with China. And the whole scheme of things to spread global communism. looking back in retrospect and 2020 hindsight, which it can be dangerous, but anyway, had we done that, maybe we wouldn't have had the problem we have with China right now. Don't know. But the point being is, we are not willing to use atomic weapons in a war. Period. Even though there are such things as tactical nukes that the military has that can take out, say, something the size of just a small town or an airfield. Okay? How do I know this? I spent 22 years in the Army. I know people and knew people that were involved with organizations that were trained to deliver those. What do you mean? I thought nuclear weapons were dropped from planes or launched from submarines or silos out in the Midwest. Well, yes and no. There are, or were, they may be gone now, man-packed nuclear bombs. Oh my goodness, old soldier, what are you talking about? During the Cold War, the height of the Cold War, certain special forces units had the mission to go behind the Iron Curtain into places like Czechoslovakia, Hungary, East Germany, and as deep into the communist bloc as far as Russia herself, the USSR, and deliver and detonate these tactical nuclear weapons. They had just enough yield to take out, say, the size of a small military base, an airfield, things of that nature. Okay? These teams would be inserted deep behind enemy lines, and they would go and place these things, and they would train them, place these things, and set them off. Okay? Field artillery used to have 155 millimeter nuclear capability, and the gun that fired that was it. Once it fired it, that tube had to be spiked into the storage for that piece. Okay? But field artillery had a means of delivering a tactical nuclear capability. And to say the least, was that option placed on the chopping block during the Vietnam War? I don't know. I haven't read anything on that. I would dare say that in the deepest, darkest cells of the Pentagon, the possibility might have been discussed. You never know what goes on in those conversations as to what the options might be. But the validity of point 2 of the Communist Manifesto is the U.S.'s willingness to concede the use of atomic weapons in war. It has happened. It's done, right? So, and folks, if you want to follow along with these 45 points as we go through them, you can go online and Google them, and you can download them into a PDF. They got them. Several sources have them. You can get the book, The Naked Communist. It's got them in there as well. So, but I just thought I'd share that little tidbit with you today. While I had time, waiting for my daughter and my son-in-law to come over, and I got to take him to outside of just Fort Bragg to get him a new beret for his uniform. He's a young soldier, and I'm trying to help him where I can from my experience. And my daughter's going to help my wife around the house. And of course, we got to keep baby Leon last night. He got to stay the night with his pappy paw and his mamaw, and we had a good old time. But anyways, for you, Brother Kyle, times 2. But y'all stay safe, stay vigilant. Keep your eyes open, your ears to the ground, keep your neck on the swivel. All right? Oh, special request from a friend out there, Luke Dog. Y'all pray for him. He told me the other day in response to one of the posts that, that he had contracted the COVID mess. Just pray for him that he gets better soon. Yeah, pray for him. He'd appreciate it. I'd appreciate it if you do that for him. So, other than that, folks, God bless, take care, stay safe, and until Monday, Silver Soldier out.